Hello. How is everybody doing? Make sure I get my stuff pulled up on my phone so I can see what y'all talk about. And kill this, huh? Bandages. Que paso? Like the Gate Premiere Hell. Guys, if you just go to Premiere Hell. Check him out. He's a cool guy. He's got me quite a few subs, and I appreciate him for that. Yeah, so about that. Anyways, I can't do it that well. Well, let's get into it. Let's get my stuff all doobly-dooed and fixed up. This will probably be a shorter one, but that'll be fine. Let's see what we got for stowaways. There we go. You check the bottom. No notice. This one's called My Daughter is Dying. Neej has returned for more spooks. Do not commit fratricide. Well, here's the story. It's My Daughter is Dying. So guys, before we get into it, I am on the road to 1K. I mean, I'm close in the sense that, you know, a few hundred subs off. 631, 7, 8, like 300 and some change. 23 KC, que paso. If y'all don't mind, you know, sharing me. But anyways, enough of that. I gave you the link. If you'd like to read along, feel free. Oh, I need something to drink. Pepsi it is. Holy crap, this fridge is stupid cold. Did it freeze you too? No, it froze you, but it didn't freeze you. Oh, jeez. This thing's probably all... What is up? Oh, just doing, you know, doing some streaming, you know. Nothing much. What's good, Sleek? I think I might let this heat up a little bit. Warm up. I feel like if I flick it, it's going to freeze. Me and my dirty pond water. Don't you judge me. Alright, this one is called My Daughter's Dying. Already gave you the link, so there we go. If you like the story, go ahead and rate it. So here we are. Tina was a good baby. Ever since she was born, other mothers watched us with envious, longing faces. She was so quiet and peaceful. She was a good sleeper and didn't mind being put in a crib. most nights. I could only make it. I could make it only waking up to feed her once. To dream every mother and every babysitter. Whatever. She didn't mind being around other people and never cried for me when I wasn't around. Potty training her went smoothly. Tina was the most easygoing baby, toddler, and little girl I've ever met. I would add that she's also super smart and beautiful. Tom did a thing. Tom, are you in here? Crazy? Dia, what the? What's going on? Oh, Jesus, happening again. How about I put that above? There we go. Thank you, Tom. And Dio, thank you very much. Your creepy son. But every mother thinks that their children are. I think it's our brain deceiving us. So don't be like, ew, 9 months and a lot of stitches for that. I better throw it out in the garbage can. That's what it says. Well, I would trade all of it to have a healthy daughter. I wouldn't mind one bit if she was a hysterical child, covered in snot and unable to poop by herself. Hey, Helly. It started suddenly, as tragedies usually do. I was at work when her kindergarten teacher called me. She talked in a calm, almost sing-song tone. The only one grown women who spend the whole day the one that grown women who spend their all day around little kids know. Hi, Miss Davis, how are you doing? After a pause for exchanging pleasantries, the teacher spoke again. Look, Tina's being really good as usual, but today she's a bit under the weather. We checked, and she has a fever. Could you pick her up now? I left in a hurry. When I got there, Tina could barely stand. I carried her in my arms to the car, unsure if I should take her to the hospital or put her to bed. Tina never got sick before. I sighed, wishing I had some help, wishing her father hadn't left. I was so in love with him. My mother lived in another town, but I decided to call her for advice. She told me to let Tina rest all day and take her to the hospital tomorrow if she didn't get any better. Pretty obvious if you're not feeling overwhelmed and tired. As I drove, I started thinking about Ben. He was handsome and a sweet talker, 10 years older than me. I thought we were madly in love. When he asked me to have a child with him, I was silly enough to think it was the biggest commitment a couple could make. I felt honored and blessed. Until he had a job offer in Japan and decided for me that I wouldn't be happy there. I assured Ben I would be happy anywhere with him. He said I couldn't leave my job, which I didn't like that much, or my mother, who I didn't see that often anyways. And in just 1 week, he was gone forever. When Tina and I had got home, I made us some tea, prepared a bath to put my daughter in her bed. Prepared a bath and put my daughter in her bed. I had a bad feeling about this, but I dismissed it as classic mother paranoia. I slept by Tina's side in a tiny bed that night. I couldn't wait until morning to take her to the hospital. She woke up sweaty, shivering with an ugly cough. Her lungs make a weird static noise. Time for some serious antibiotics, I said to calm myself. As we got there, Tina had to be immediately intubated. She could barely breathe by herself. She was so small and fragile between the machines that kept her alive. The next few days, things just got worse. Her hair was rapidly falling out, hundreds of strands at a time. Her skin was so dry and sunken to the bone that she looked like 1,000 years old. Her eyes got milky and blind, her voice was all raspy, and her breath smelled awful. The doctors had no clue what was going on. We called specialists in infectology from other states, other countries even. No one knew a thing, and a huge effort was made to keep her alive the way she was, with no improvement. I still had to work, so my mother came to stay with Tina at the hospital. I spent all my days crying at my desk and researching the rare disease. I posted a plea on my Facebook wall. If you know what my daughter has, please tell me. I'm desperate, I wrote, describing all of her symptoms. A woman I didn't know or had in my friends list reached out to me. Her name was Jennifer, and we had no mutual friends. Samara, I can't even imagine what you're going through. I need to talk about your daughter and her father. It's really important. Can you please meet me at coffee shop near subway station? I immediately answered yes, and we met on the same day. I had no time to think this was some scam. My guess was that she was some old friend of Ben, knew he had a disease. I was full of hope. Jennifer was in her mid-30s, a little older than me. She was tall, pretty, and looked friendly. She was already there when I arrived and bought me a cappuccino. Look, Samara. You don't have to believe me. I know it's crazy, but I know what your daughter has. Will you give me a chance to listen to me? I will listen to anything. I'm desperate. I'm Ben's ex-wife. I know. You probably hate me and think I want to harm your daughter, but I'm effing serious. That man is a psychopath. Did he leave you when you got pregnant? Yes and no. I don't think you were a bad person. Well, I had to put a gun to his head to get this confession. That SOB made a deal with the devil. He wanted to be attractive for longer and promised his firstborn in exchange. What? I screamed. We were the only clients there. The young barista quickly looked at me, then probably remembered people scream all the time in front of him and didn't mind as much. Jennifer gave me some much needed time to let that sink in. So you guys didn't have a kid? I asked too casually. Oh, I had a kid. Ben thought my son was his, but joke's on him, he wasn't. He started to get desperate. He begged me to have another child with him. Said he couldn't take care of everything and wouldn't even miss it. A son or a daughter of mine. What? Hey, what a monster, I mumbled. I obviously refused. I know it wasn't right to cheat on him and get pregnant with someone else's baby, but I had a gut feeling something was wrong. Before I got pregnant, he was too intense about it. He knew he always hated kids. I knew something shady was going on, but I couldn't imagine how big it was. I thought it was some inheritance matter, you know? I'm really glad I did it. But Ben was running out of time, so she hesitated for a long time. bit her lip, and looked at me with eyes full of pity. Well, he started looking for someone else to bear his child. Now the devil is claiming your daughter. We talked for a long time, and I'd say we became good friends after a month. Tina got so much better and was out of the hospital in no time. She's back to her old, full of life self now. There's a tiny detail I'm forgetting to tell you. I took a trip to Osaka with my new bestie. We had a little talk with the man who tried to ruin our lives. Maybe we were a little too blunt, if you know what I mean. It was a real burst of emotions and brains. I couldn't do that. My life is only getting better and better. I think Satan was pleased that I sent something that belonged to him. I heard he's usually warm when it comes to welcoming his deadbeat debtors. Oh. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a 10. Oh, okay, it's not a 10 anymore. It's like a 7. I give it like a 6. It wasn't, I mean, I don't read that great, but whatever. Oh. A Blair Witch game, huh? I don't know how I feel about that. I might have to. I might have to do a trailer react. I'll have to figure out how to do that. I'll have to get with Sleek on that one. How's everybody doing? You have a dog? Oh yeah? I mean, dogs are cool. Is he getting carbonation back? It's trying to. Blair Witch game. Ermagerd. You're great. You're watching Chappy. With the Berg. Hola, Siri. I learned the trick. I can't. I'll have to check that out. Because Layers of Fear is it's a good game. But it's not trying to scare the crap out of me. Oh. You just submitted a thing for band and hope you do well. How am I doing? I'm doing fine. I got an interview tomorrow. And then I got 2 interviews on Friday. So we'll see how I failed. I bombed an interview today. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. But I'm fine with it. It was... Oh, yeah. It was in a tile cutting plant. They wanted me to be the maintenance guy. And she was asking, like, specific questions that... Like, there's... Certain parts have multiple names. And, she was a stickler about that part having that name. And I didn't know that name of the part. But I knew the other names for it. And she called them slang. And, it would be a bad place. But the pay was stupid. But I'm fine with bombing that interview. Oh, you can't win them all. This story is called Out of Body Experience. Thank you. We'll see how it goes. I just read on the thing I got to get a tie and a nice shirt. I guess business casual is not going to work for them, so I'll have to go to Walmart in the morning. I felt a hair on my hand. I'm usually really good at interviews, so I'm not that worried about it. Oh. Okay, there we go. Well, let's do the next story, if you guys are ready for that. There's the link. If you guys want to read along, you know that I read, English is hard. And if you want to vote these stories, feel free. Interviewers will enjoy a sharp-dressed Chappy. Yeah, there's just one company I'm really hoping calls me back for an interview. Because regardless of the pay I get at any place I interview at, there's two companies that I want that if they called, I would take much less money to get in the door at. Reading 10 Story 7. I don't know what that means. Let's hope it's fast-paced. English is hard, okay? Anyways, let's do this one. Well, thank you very much, guys. I'm sure I'll do fine. My life ended in mid-December, the 17th to be exact. I survived a little after that, but that was the last day I lived freely. I was goofing off on the internet that day, kind of flicking through my news feed, reading interesting news stories, that sort of thing. Sometime after 1:30, I found an article on lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences. I skimmed through the article. The author mentioned astral projection and the plane walking a couple times, and often similar terms, and other similar terms. I'm not a hardcore naturalist who believes that everything has a natural explanation, but telepathy visiting alternate planes seems far-fetched, especially when it comes to someone trying to sell you something. Still, I was interested. It sounded similar to lucid dreaming, which I had fun with once or twice. I thought of them as just biological glitches. It's not like it'd be a challenge to find out how. It's not like it'd be a challenge to find how-to guides for out-of-body experiences on the internet, so I won't bother being super secretive about it. The goal of out-of-the-body experience is to get your body to go to sleep while retaining consciousness. Hey, Zelda Master. When you go to sleep, your brain shuts off movement signals to the physical body so that you don't hurt yourself while you dream. Out-of-body experiences utilize this feature of the brain to make you think it's moving while keeping the body stationary. The concept arrested my mind. I couldn't let it go. I found myself looking forward to that night. I waited for the day to pass, and when night came, I set up safety measures if something did go wrong. I didn't want to be stuck in dreamland for an eternity. I set my alarm for an hour after I planned to have my out-of-body experience, so I wouldn't be stuck out for too long. Hopefully the sound would bring me back to my body in case I couldn't come back. So at 11 o'clock, I went to bed and slept. I had trouble falling asleep, but eventually I dropped off. I slept for a few hours, then woke up and went through the process of getting an out-of-the-body getting an out-of-body experience. Once I was ready, I took a few seconds to collect my thoughts, then tried to pull myself out of my body. Once I forced myself to move, my perspective altered, and I can only see myself from the side as though through a different set of eyes. I could still see with my eyes, but I had a second view from an outside perspective, watching myself. I could still feel my body, but it was distant. I forced myself to sit up, and to my delight, I felt myself moving, but my body remained still. Through my outside view, I could see a ghost detaching itself from my body. I was elated. My pleased surprise only lasted a few seconds before I felt my body freeze. Just as I had realized that my trick had really worked, that I had no control over my body, an amorphous red cloud filled my vision. It hovered over me for a second, then disappeared as I inhaled. My body reacted instantly and began seizing up. The spasms made all of my muscles clench and relax, and clench again. In my trance, I think I counted 4 convulsions every second. But I'm not sure how long it really lasted. It was terrifying. I knew I'd set my alarm clock for 90 minutes after I'd begun my lucid dream. But I couldn't last that long at the rate I was convulsing. It would only be a few minutes before my heart gave out. The red cloud obscured my vision, both from the outside perspective and through my eyes. And even worse, I was paralyzed. I tried to force myself back into my body to stop my seizing, but I couldn't get in. Then I heard the voice. It was like a grating rumble, rasping deep in the chest, but it also had an animal quality, burning with anger. Not a shrieking fury, but slow, deliberate menace. My name is... The voice filled me with terror. I wanted to run as far as I could get. But I was frozen. Names had power, and I didn't want to hear it. But I did want to know it. Just as it spoke its name, I shouted my own name through my convulsions, drowning its voice out. It stopped speaking, as though surprised it had been interrupted. It growled softly as the red smoke began to dissipate, and I fell into my body again. My seizure stopped, and I woke up. I don't know how long this experience lasted. I'm guessing about 12 or 15 seconds, and probably no more than a minute. My chest hurt, my muscles trembled, but I was alive. I was rattled, but I managed to convince myself that something went wrong, and I created a nightmare. Maybe my fears of what happened surfaced subconsciously, of what could happen my fears of what could happen surfaced subconsciously. I reasoned. Whatever the case, I decided not to exploit any more glitches in my nervous system and went back to bed. I slept through the night, though it was uneasy. The next morning I woke up and convinced myself that my experience had just been a fluke. I had more pressing matters on my mind. It was exactly 1 week before Christmas, and I had no idea what I was getting for my family. So I showered, dressed, and headed out the door. The events of the previous night quickly fell in the back of my mind. as my car entered the rumbling traffic. At least that part of my day was a success. I bought most of the presents for my family and girlfriend. I just needed a few others for my friends. As I was browsing the aisles of Walmart for a good pair of headphones, my arms suddenly felt like they had been encased in ice. I jerked in surprise and felt the feeling vanish. As it went away, I heard a deep, indistinct whisper. There was no one nearby, unless you counted the 20-something woman a few feet to my left. I shook my head, thinking I felt a draft of icy wind. I continued to shop. I went to bed that night and found myself unintentionally entering the half-awake state. But I felt vulnerable. I didn't want to push myself out of my body, but I felt myself slowly rising out of my body. Terror shot throughout me as I sensed the red smoke hovering over my body. It felt like it was trying to pull me out. As soon as I realized that, my eyes shot open and I came back to my body, shaking from fear. I didn't sleep that night. I knew that my oppressor was still there, and I got more tired as time wore on. I would begin to fall asleep, then jerk awake as soon as I felt myself being pulled out of my body. At first, I tried to ignore it. I knew it was coming for me. But I started eating real food and drinking caffeinated drinks, which helped. Morning was an immense improvement. I didn't feel so tired when the sun was up already. As soon as it was lights out, I went outside to get some winter sunshine. As soon as it was light out, I went outside to get some winter sunshine, which enjoy some Christmas movies and finish Christmas shopping. I couldn't hear anything throughout that day, but I had a feeling I was being followed. I know. Hey, Adele. I tried to blot my fear from my mind as I returned to my home. I felt jittery. I knew I had to go to sleep eventually, but I didn't want to think about it. 6 or 7, I began to microwave something when I began to hear a voice in my mind. I dropped my plate in my hand and it shattered. My name is... The voice now held contempt, as well as a bitter anger. I yelled my name out loud when it was about to announce its own, hoping that it could drive the demons away, like last time. For a moment, I thought it had gone away. I relaxed, but then I heard its laugh, deep and slow. It was unsettling, like hearing loud, harsh music. Its laugh rolled on for several seconds. Then it spoke again. Your name is worthless. My name is... I said my name again, and this time more forcefully. Its chuckle lasted longer this time, but faded to nothing. I listened intently. I couldn't hear anything, but I knew it was still there. I finally moved from my frozen position, leaving the broken plate and splattered food. I rushed to my computer and I began searching the internet for the thing. But there were too many possibilities. It could be a demon, an Azura, a ghost, or any one of hundreds of other spirits described by cultures throughout the world. As I clicked on another link, I heard its laugh again. A chill invaded my body and I heard its voice. My name. Shut up, shut up, shut up, I screamed. It laughed again. Your name is worthless. Your commands are void. My name is... I tried to ignore the terror inside me, but I shouted my name again. It had a sense it was shaking its head as the laughter faded. What sort of demon places such importance on names? Names were supposed to give you power over the demon, not give the demon power over you. What kind of mythology was this from? I returned to my computer and began to search a new search. It came to me several times in the following hours and whispered its name. Finally, I stopped trying to drown out and listened. When the demon spoke its name, it was so soft I couldn't hear it. It sounded like softly hissing static, a name composed of indiscernible sounds. As soon as I stopped blocking out the demon's name, it began whispering mine. Nothing happened as far as I knew, but I grew even more nervous. My searches weren't helpful. I couldn't hear the demon's name well enough to get a clue what it was. My body felt weighed down. If my eyes were closed any longer than a blink, sleep washed over me. I couldn't sleep, though, because every time I began to drift off, I felt the terrible presence hover over me. I jerk awake and begin another string of searches. It spoke probably 4 or 5 times an hour. Whenever it whispered its name, I strained to hear it, as it was still an indistinct hiss. Sometime at around 3 in the morning, I realized I could hear its voice in the real world. I heard it when the wind blew past my window. Then the furnace kicked on. When water ran in the bathroom, as it grew louder as the night wore on, I began blasting my music, but I could hear its rough voice in the static between the songs. The demon's voice grew louder and louder until I could hear its muttering in the background of my favorite songs. I stopped listening to music at 5 in the morning, but I could hear the voice in the computer's fan and in the creaking of the house. The morning was worse. I rushed to the library as soon as it opened and began researching out-of-body experiences, religious beliefs on demons, ancient religions, and the like. Nothing helped. The things I found helped me understand the science of the thing, but there was nothing to explain the hallucinations after waking up. Unless I was taking hallucinogens in my coffee. As I burned through the pages, I could see the dark red smoke in the edges of my vision. When I glanced at it, the smoke would vanish. I would go back to reading, and it would rematerialize. By the afternoon, I saw the smoke hang in the air for a few seconds before fading to nothing. Evening came and went without relief. When I decided to go home, I was rattled after my day in the library, and not much better off. As I drove back to my house, I could hear the demon's voice grumbling in the engine, saying my name, muttering threats, grumbling its own. Then I turned off the car. It didn't even bother masking its voice anymore. I could almost hear its name now, but it was still distorted. Worse, I could feel its frozen breath tickling my ear, and the smell, its dusty, rotten breath. I scoured the internet all night, going to several forums for supernatural and paranormal. Few people had heard demons like this, and they couldn't advise defense other than a crucifix, holy water, or salt. but I doubted they'd work. I stayed up all night hoping for someone knowledgeable to show up in the forums. I was disappointed. About 2 hours ago, the kitchen lights started flickering. The pencils in the jar have started rattling softly, and I swear I can see the cans of tipped over energy drink slowly rolling toward me. Not only can I hear its voice, but I can hear a faint, high-pitched keening, like a distant boiling kettle, and footsteps, heavy, inexorable footsteps coming closer. When I turn to confront my enemy, I only see indents in my wooden floor. It's 6 in the morning now, still dark. I've reached the limit of my endurance. I have to fight it. I've chosen my best defense in an attempt to ward it off. But somehow, I doubt they'll work. I'm exhausted, and I'm done fighting. I'm sorry, everyone, but I just can't stay awake. I mean, besides my bad reading, I don't... How you guys doing? How about some short stories? You say 9 of 10. We'll go to that link that I posted. I think it's this one. And vote it. Just clicking through some random pastas. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing well. It's not about you. Hi, I'm not scared. You're scared. I'm doing okay. Thank you. There's something you reminded me of. Any luck on the job front? No, I bombed an interview today. I didn't do it on purpose. Oh, it was so bad. It's actually really funny. That's right. I've got an interview tomorrow and then 2 on Friday. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm really hoping another company calls me, but we'll see. We'll see. This one's called It's Not About You. Oh. Oh, that's... Is this what you're making? Because that's what I Googled. Thank you, Adele. I feel similar. It was very... It was so bad, it was funny. I mean, I Googled Baconico doll. do this. Oh. Wait. It's this guy. I think every cat shares a link to its demon. In lucid dreams, I found it interesting. I recently lucid dreamed and I was restricted. Like I couldn't move my hands because outside of the dream they were in my pockets. I mean, I'm no expert, and I actually kind of like sleep paralysis, so I'm probably the worst person to. It's nice. It's like a nice feeling, but sometimes you just gotta focus on moving a finger when your hands are stuck, and then move 2 and then 3 and so on. Try that. Try wiggling your wrist, you know. Pinky first. I mean, that's just such an odd finger. It doesn't like to go up without this one. And then this one doesn't like to go up without this one. And then this one doesn't like to go up without this one. So this one first, and then this one, and then this one. I don't know. Moogle your big toe. Hey, Go Fish, how you doing? So we're gonna start this one. Go fish, go fish, go fish! We're gonna start this one. It's not about you. It sounds like a way a girl breaks up with you. Finger problems? No. Now, talking about lucid dreaming. Bedtime stories. It's far into the night for you, isn't it? Well, here we go. Here's another one. It's not about you. You and Sarah rush through the doors as Rachel screams. Her cries abruptly cut off as the stone doors slam shut, though you can still hear a faint grinding coming from behind you. At the beginning, there were 5, but now it was just you and Sarah. You catch your breath and try to get your bearings. You didn't know how you and your friends found this cave. You'd been camping in the area dozens of times. But I guess this time your hikes had taken you farther than you had thought. It was Katie that first discovered the cave. It seemed pretty cool, and why not? You had all the right gear already, so why not scout it a little? Then you found a doorway, and you went through. It was a small room with 5 closed stone doors on the far side, and a single stone pedestal in the middle. That's where you found the rings, when you realized you were trapped. You weren't going to touch the rings at first. They looked old, maybe a valuable archaeological find. But then someone, Harry maybe, noticed that the door behind you and entered was blocked. There was no handle, just a solid slab of rock. Rachel figured it must have come from above the door frame. And that's when everybody really freaked out. Harry tried his phone, nothing, no signal, no GPS. Sarah even set up the satellite phone. The phone for just this kind of emergency, only to have it fail as well. Out of options, you decide to go check out the pedestal again. There were 5 rings. And what do you know? 5 people. Sitting just above the rings was an inscription. The one with the strongest destiny shall claim the prize. That part was kind of exciting, and well, it seemed kind of like your moment. Hadn't done much else with your life. That degree in psych had gotten you very far, hadn't it? Maybe you had the strongest destiny. You never really stood out much. Didn't have any major talents or qualities. But it's the inside that counts, isn't it? You've got that in spades. That was what you were thinking before Katie died, anyway. As you each slid a ring on your finger, they started to glow. Each glow was slightly different in color. You thought yours seemed to glow a little brighter than the others, but you kept that to yourself. Each of the 5 rings shone towards a door at the far end of the room. 5 rings, 5 doors. Without any other choice, you went through. Everyone was starting to get excited. Then the doors slammed shut again. In this room, there were only 4 doors. Uh-oh. The rings started to glow again, but for some reason, Katie's went dark. And that's when the floor started to shake. The cave floor was receding, pulling away from the entrance of the room, and towards the 4 doors on the far end. A quick glance over the edge sent you running to the door. Over that edge was a black pit. A black pit would fill the room in less than a minute. You, Sarah, and Rachel rushed through the doors, while Katie followed closely behind Harry, hoping to get through the door with him. They were a couple after all. Harry stepped through the door just as the floor under Katie's feet disappeared. He had her arm. He was going to pull her through, and the stone door slammed down on Katie's forearm with a sickening crack. Her trapped arm was the only thing keeping her from falling into the darkness. But everyone's doors were completely shut now, except for Harry's. There was no way to save her, or even see her, except for her twitching arm. Attached to that arm was a hand, and on that hand was a ring that didn't shine. Harry was screaming into the tiny opening. Katie wasn't responding, and the door was still trying to shut. Eventually, it did. You were now in a room with 3 doors. Things followed a similar pattern after that. Harry's ring went out. Not that he cared anymore. You rushed through the door as the room filled with beetles, covering anything without a source of light. Rachel and Sarah tried to pull away from the door, from the arm, but eventually all that was left of Harry was a crawling, heaving mass. He didn't even scream. You had made it through. And as scared as you were, something was stirring in the back of your mind. You were starting to feel lucky. The one with the strongest destiny. Then came the room with 2 doors. That was just now. Rachel's light went out. She started to cry, but calmly turned and said goodbye. That you'd always been a good friend. Sarah was screaming at her to not give up, but you didn't want to stick around to find out what was going to go wrong. As you ran through the door, you noticed that the ceiling had gotten lower. And now here you are, 1 door left. This is it. Your whole life building up to this validation. You don't have the fanciest job, the best degree. You aren't the most popular, the most successful, but you are going to survive. It's your destiny, the strongest destiny. Then you look at your ring. The light's gone out. Sarah? No, it can't be. It's impossible. Why her? Why her? How can she? How dare she? That ring is mine. Give it to me. It's my destiny. As Sarah turns to see your rage, her eyes widen in shock as you scream from what is rightfully yours. Your fist flashes out and knocks her to the ground. She scrambles away as you move closer. She's crying, begging you to stop. You don't even hear it. It's about your life, your destiny. Nothing else matters. And as you're about to take that final step, when you're right on top of her, a stone hand grips your ankle. You flail painfully. Two more hands grab your wrists, trapping you. Sarah's getting away. She's almost at the door. More hands grab your legs, your neck, your ribs, your eyes. Their grips are getting tighter. You can't see, and the pain is unbearable. And then you hear the stone door slam shut. And with that sound, you realize that you're not the main character. You're not special, and you will die here in this room. The world will go on without you. As your senses begin to fade, you have one last thought. What about... It just says M dash. Hello. How you guys doing? Wouldn't that be terrible to find out that you're not the main character? We're all the main character. Just different books. Chappy is back. I left. I don't know what Oingo Boingo Brothers is. You are a meat popsicle. I like mine medium rare. What is this one? Meat butterfly. The meat light butterfly. The tracing. It doesn't have a strong rating, but meat and cheese. Am I doing this right? I like meat and cheese. I've got pizza right here. I might have a piece of pizza. If you'll hold on 1 second, I want a piece of pizza. Ow, it's sitting on my foot. Oh! Pizza, 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 pizza! Pizza! Pizza, pizza, pizza! What What are you guys up to? Hey, Spacious. I saw you there and I didn't say hi. Have you been here long? I'm terrible at this. I apologize. Oh, my desk is greasy. Still suing. Ooh, pizza. Oh, you. Floppy pizza. It's so hot. It's burning the fingers. It's hot. What conditioner does Chappy use? Pantene Pro V. My hair is not very nice right now, but thank you. Huh? A lava pie. Yeah, I burned the top of my. That hurt like hell. Pizza. I've seen The Fifth Element a few times. I don't get movie references a lot though. Please no burn speed. That's good old Burt's Bees. Yeah, I didn't let my pizza cool down. I mean, a little bit. Obviously, not enough. It's fine. It's fine. The tracing. Next time you're laying in bed and the moon is new, when you're at the moment where you're almost asleep and your eyes are closed, try listening for the sounds. More specifically, sounds that shouldn't exist in your realm. At this point, you will notice the world around you change. But don't you dare open your eyes or make any movements. If you lay right where you are, with your eyes closed, you will feel something trace a finger, a claw, or perhaps something even worse across your forehead. The moment it stops tracing, you will wake up, and it will be morning. Within a new week, you will die. However, depending on what was traced on your head, you will either enter a paradise of a world, or you will enter an evil world of torture. So do you want to find out what's on the other side? Oh yeah, I burned the inside of my mouth, but you gotta feel it. You'll be fine tomorrow. How'd it go, Hope? I need a shave. This scruffy look does not do me. Awesome, Hope. Best of luck. I hope you get it. So I might go offline here in a little bit, because I should probably get me some sleepy sleeps. But who am I kidding? I took a nap. Loose Research, limited liability company. A custom developed online survey to fit organization design needs. Nice. Go get sleepy sleeps so you can be the best at your interview. Rest is good for Chappy. It is. I slept. I took a nap for 2 hours and woke up like I felt like I'd wasted the day. And I'm not tired right now. I put them on my fingers. I like doing that with the bugles. I got a notification. Hey, Jason just did a video. Top 13 back to school snacks for fussy eaters. One of them better be money, because fussy eaters can suck it and just buy their own thing. Thank you, Hope. Oh, that's a healthy one. Not reading that. Yeah, so anyways, there we go. Closer. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. So I will end the stream here, and I will join y'all, come back to this tomorrow if y'all would like to rejoin. Yeah, so anyways, I hope y'all have a good night. Thank you for coming to my stream. there's 15 people in here. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Peace out. I thank you. I have the most utmost confidence that I will. I usually kill interviews, so when I bomb one every now and then, I don't mind. I like to talk. Anyways, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me for this last hour. I will be back again, hopefully at an earlier time. Thank you for all the words of encouragement, folks. On that, y'all have a great night. Stay creepy. If you're not in my Discord, join my Discord. And try to get your friends to subscribe. I don't know. But alright, guys. Have a good night, and thanks for coming. Bye.